bitter war between two families spiraled into one of the most violent feuds the UK had seen in years. Shops were ransacked, homes came under fire, windows were shattered by bullets. One man was left with life-altering brain injuries. And when local violence wasn't enough, international contract killers were flown into the UK, sent with one purpose: to eliminate the opposition. But what could cause such deep resentment, such unrelenting hatred, that families would go to these terrifying lengths? In 2018, a simple phone call ignited a firestorm. A father and son, Mohammed Aslam and Mohammed Nazir, sped from Derby to Birmingham, furious over a heated dispute. Their destination: a wedding clothing and jewelry boutique in the Alum Rock area. But this wasn't just a confrontation, it was an eruption. As they entered the shop, chaos exploded. Staff fought back, fists flew, furniture was hurled, and the boutique was left in ruins. The violence escalated so quickly that every person involved was injured, but none more so than the father and son who had come looking for trouble. Mohammed Aslam suffered a serious brain injury, struck so hard in the head it would change everything. His son, Mohammed Nazir, escaped with less severe wounds, but both men left that day bloodied, beaten, and vowing revenge. But the violence didn't end at the boutique. Just hours after the brutal brawl, the shop owner Sikandar Ali and his associates took the feud a step further, sending someone to Derby directly to the Mohammed's family home. Windows were smashed. The retaliation only fueled the fire even more. Mohammed Aslam, already reeling from his injuries and humiliation, was furious. And now he wanted revenge that would leave no room for a response. This time, it wouldn't be a fight. It would be an execution. But Aslam had a problem. How could he make someone disappear without getting caught? That's when he picked up the phone and made a connection that would change everything. On the other end of the line was a woman thousands of miles away, Amy Betro, born in Wisconsin, USA. Far from innocent, Betro had found a way to place herself in the criminal underworld, known for offering services most wouldn't dare to speak of out loud. Aslam didn't hold back. He told her plainly he wanted someone in the UK dead. Without hesitation, Amy agreed. The pair kept in regular contact, laying the groundwork for a cold, calculated assassination and the beginning of a murder-for-hire plot that would cross borders and stun authorities on both sides of the Atlantic. By August 2019, the plan was in motion. The time for talk was over. After months of secret planning and encrypted conversations, Amy Betro boarded a flight from Chicago O'Hare International Airport, bound for London. Her mission was clear: travel across the UK, locate the target, and carry out the hit. Upon arrival, she was met with everything she needed. Mohammed Aslam provided her with a burner phone and a car, tools designed to help her blend in and stay off the radar. But Amy didn't settle in one place. She moved city to city, basing herself in a series of hotels, creating a web of movement around the country. But despite the calculated effort to stay invisible, a crack appeared in the plan. Just days after landing, Amy was involved in a car collision, a moment of carelessness that risked blowing her cover and drawing unwanted attention to a plot that had been carefully built in the shadows. Still, the mission didn't stop. The hit was very much still on. Foreign assassin was now roaming Britain's streets, and the next move could be deadly. Amy Betro made another move, one that would raise even more suspicion. After damaging the original vehicle given to her by Mohammed Aslam, she walked into a UK car dealership and purchased a Mercedes-Benz, paying in full to keep her movements rolling. But that wasn't the only car she had her eyes on. Amy had been tipped off that Sikandar Ali, the boutique owner and main target, had a father, Aslat Mohammed, a local car salesman. Sensing an opportunity to get closer to the family, she made contact, showing interest in buying a VW Golf he had for sale. But Aslat wasn't naive. Something about Amy didn't sit right. He pulled back from the deal, refusing to go through with the viewing. But instead of backing off, Amy leaned in. She began sending a string of follow-up messages, but these weren't ordinary buyer inquiries. There was a shift in tone, cryptic, unnerving, and suggestive of something far more sinister. On September 6, 2019, the plan reached its most dangerous stage yet. Amy Betro had now made her way to Birmingham, checking into a luxury apartment inside the iconic Rotunda building, right in the heart of the city. But this was no holiday. This was the calm before the storm. That same day, Mohammed Aslam and his son Mohammed Nazir made their move. They traveled from Derby to Birmingham, ready to take the plan into its final phase. Amy was picked up, and together, the trio headed into Bordesley Green, the very area where their rival family lived. This wasn't the hit. Not yet. This was reconnaissance. Driving through the streets like any other car, they were hunting, not for someone, but for somewhere. The Mohammeds pointed out the target house, the home of the men they believed had humiliated them. The following day, the plot took a new turn. The target had changed. No longer was it Sikandar Ali in the crosshairs, it was his father, Aslat Mohammed. By 7:30 p.m., the operation was in motion. Amy Betro slid behind the wheel of her newly purchased Mercedes-Benz, heading straight for the family home. Following closely behind in a Volvo were Mohammed Aslam and his son Nazir, keeping a watchful distance as Amy moved into position. She parked outside the house and waited. But this time, she went to disturbing lengths to conceal her identity, dressing in a hijab to blend into the area and mask her intentions. Then, an unexpected twist. Sikandar Ali, the original target, pulled up outside the home. Amy didn't hesitate. She stepped out of her car, brandishing a handgun, her face cloaked, her steps quick and deliberate. Sikandar recalls the terrifying moment she raised the weapon, finger on the trigger, trying desperately to fire. But fate intervened. The gun jammed. In a panic, Sikandar floored it, slamming his vehicle into Amy's car in a desperate attempt to flee. It worked. She scrambled back to her damaged car and fled the scene. The hit was not over yet, but it was already falling apart. After a string of frantic text messages, it became clear her plan was falling apart. The Mercedes she'd been using, the same car damaged during the failed hit on Sikandar Ali, was now too battered to continue with. So she abandoned it, but even without a car, Amy wasn't giving up. She ordered a taxi. Her destination, the same house she had just tried and failed to claim a life outside of. She had the driver wait nearby while she walked toward the family home, armed and focused. With a cold calmness, she raised her weapon and fired 3 bullets through the windows, this time not caring who might be behind them. But fate, or perhaps luck, was not on her side. The Ali family had already fled the property hours before. Realizing her time was up and the hit was a failure, Amy Betro vanished. The very next day, she boarded a flight and left the UK, leaving behind a trail of destruction, fear, and an international investigation in full swing. As the murder plot unfolded, another twist was brewing behind the scenes. Nazir Mohammed and Amy Betro had grown increasingly close. bonded not just by their mission, but by a darker alliance of crime. In a separate scheme, Nazir had his sights set on an old associate, an ex-friend entangled in a bitter drug dispute. Long before Amy even touched down in the UK, Nazir had orchestrated yet another plot. He instructed Amy to ship gun parts to his rival's home in a calculated effort to frame him. But just like the hit, that plan crumbled too. 4 days after the failed shooting, Nazir followed Amy back to the United States. But what they didn't know was that the net was already closing in. The West Midlands and Derbyshire police were now running a joint investigation into the Bordersley Green shooting. Evidence was stacking up, and it all pointed back to the Mohammeds. When Nazir returned to the UK on October 13th, police were waiting. He was arrested immediately. His father, Mohammed Aslam, was also taken into custody. Investigators soon uncovered the missing piece, Amy Betro. An international arrest warrant was swiftly issued, but by the time US authorities closed in, she had already vanished. For years, Amy disappeared off the radar until a team of investigative journalists from the Daily Mail struck gold. Piecing together her location using selfies she shared online, complete with views of her apartment pool and the surrounding skyline, they tracked her down in Armenia. Authorities moved quickly. Local police arrested her, and British officials filed for extradition. After nearly 5 years on the run, Amy Betro was finally returned to UK soil and placed before a judge. She has since pleaded not guilty to multiple charges. For now, the accusations remain allegations until trial decides her fate. Nazir Mohammed was found guilty of conspiracy to murder, perverting the course of justice, possession of a firearm with intent to cause fear of violence, and illegally importing gun parts in the plot to frame his ex-friend. He was sentenced to 32 years in prison. His father, Mohammed Aslam, was convicted of conspiracy to murder and handed a 10-year sentence. And in a twist, Sikandar Ali, the original target, wasn't innocent either. As police delved deeper into encrypted phone messages, they uncovered a hidden life, drug trafficking and firearms dealing. He was exposed for supplying over £500,000 worth of cocaine and borrowing a firearm. He too was jailed, sentenced to 13 years and 6 months behind bars. In the end, revenge consumed them all. Lives ruined, secrets exposed, and justice served.